Morning, everyone. Well, here we go again. Still pointing to the same essence in which all this manifestation appears, plays around, and disappears. But even though it's appearing and disappearing, you can't say it is or it isn't. As they describe it, as a phenomenal manifestation. And the definition of phenomena is that which appears to be. So, it is the absolute in which everything appears, plays around, and disappears. That's the great wonderment of it. They call it God, or the higher power, or the great perfection, or the absolute. It is the life of everything that appears and disappears. And recognizing the oneness of it all, as it says in the Bible, that your life be single, and the body shall be full of light. That life essence, instead of seemingly dividing it into the many, know for certain it is the only. There is only life. And if there's only that, can you or I or any seeming separate things be apart from it or without it? So the Mahaveka, the great mantra, is I am that. Know for certain that you are already that. But the majority of us have the belief that we need to acquire or become or realise that. So we're seeking for ways, for means, or practices, or whatever, to become what we already are. You see the futility of that? So when you hear or read about or recognise that there is only life, and you are not dead in this moment, right now, that is your true nature. Like Christ says, you are the light of the world. That life, which is energy, which is another term for light, is the energy that's forming, appearing, and expressing as this world or cosmos. But as we stand now, or the majority of us, think we are this person, this separate entity, this individual, that without higher power, life will become overwhelming. And most of us, a lot of us think that life is overwhelming right now. Because we have the fear, there's anxiety, there's guilt, there's shame, stress, depression, all these conceptual images that are appearing, patterning, and seemingly happening from a thing we believe to be mind. But have a look, and this great text will tell you that the false cannot stand up to investigation. And some of these false, erroneous beliefs we have will fall apart naturally when investigated. And then you'll understand when they say, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. A lot of us don't realise we are bound. We are bound in the concepts, the ideas, the images. But there again, I'm not good enough. I'm unhappy. I'm depressed. I'm fearful. After all, I'm only human. All relating to patterns, shapes and forms. Now look outside of wherever you are, in a room or somewhere like that. Look outside. Now there appears to be trees, flowers, birds, insects, clouds, movement, others, all appearing to be, and all seemingly separate. Because you're not seeing an homogeneous blob out there. You're seeing there appears to be all this manifestation. But did you have a dream last night? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. If you did, there was all sorts of activities taking place. There were still trees, flowers, mountains, rivers, oceans, seasons, all sorts of activities going on. Arguments, fights, loving, hating. It was all going on in that dream. But you woke up this morning. Where did it go? Where was the seeming place it was taking place in? In the hills or the rivers or wherever you were, the mountain? Where have they gone? Are they the same ones that are appearing now? No. They're not. They disappeared. Now when you try to remember your dream, did your body move off the bed anywhere? Was it in any of these places? Did any words come out of your mouth? If you're having a nightmare or something that's shouting or snoring, if you've got a partner, they'd soon let you know. Give you a dig in the ribs or something. No. But when you wake up, you realise that it was all a dream. But what you don't realise, or you might have if you looked at this, you will have, that this is a waking dream. Because there are hills, mountains, rivers, plains, cities, shopping malls, other people, what you call relations and neighbours and all sorts of things going on in it. And then you've got amazing things like radios, televisions, and things like that, which expresses through and have been seemingly formulated through the so-called seeming minds of certain individuals or groups of individuals that put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5 and work so many things out, implying that dream-like character, the waking dream-like character, could invent and manufacture and do all sorts of things. And it's also the belief that it's unhappy, it's fearful, it's anxious, it's depressed. It's looking after things and looking for things, and they're not happening, or they're taken away. And the believed in pattern, thinking it is real, becomes thwarted, becomes upset, becomes unhappy. Nisargadatta tells us that. He says, realise you are dreaming a dream you call the world. And he says, stop looking for ways out. Don't try and work it out as a dreamed character. Stop it, yeah. The dream's not your concern. And when you look at that, whose concern is it? It's the dreamed character. It's having a concern about it. The essence that you are, the life, is unconcerned. It is ever free. It's ever just expressing spontaneously, not in time. And the dream is not your concern, he says. Your concern is believing the dream to be real. You love one part of it and not the other. And he says, see it for what it is, love all of it or none of it. Just watch it. If you don't love any of it, just watch it unfold. If you love all of it, you'll see that it's constantly transient and changing. And it'll be likes and dislikes, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, because it vibrates constantly in the opposites. Could there be one thing without the other? There couldn't. Could there be good without bad? Could there be day without night? There couldn't be anything if it didn't vibrate into opposites. And that's how it can be discriminated and seemingly separated. But there's been patterns, shapes and forms that have recognised it through the ages and pointed it out, like Shakespeare when he said there's nothing either good or bad. But thinking makes it so. This concept or idea we've got that we think. And what we think in the pairs of opposites. Hinduism, they call it Satchitananda Nama Rupa. Existence, consciousness, bliss, name and form. That's how it's divided up. The inseparable is seemingly separated, trying to describe it, to point it out. Are you existing right now? Well, you know that you are. You can't say you are not. Isn't that existence? The label we've learnt we put on it. Are you not? You're not unconscious right now, or you wouldn't be sitting there listening to this if you weren't unconscious. So you must be conscious right now. And you're happy to be right now. Yeah. Things mightn't be entirely satisfactory for you right now, but you'd rather be than not be, wouldn't you? if you were lying in the box and wouldn't know anything about it, and if you could know anything about it, you'd be disappointed that you didn't last any longer. But you can't even get dirty on it at all then, because that process of being, of discriminating, of thinking, has gone. The life essence has left that pattern. And where does it go?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? And again, that pointed out that that's all there is. As Nisargadatta says, there is only life. There is nobody who lives a life. So when I think I am the body, or I am the mind, that is not the life of you. That is not what you are. Because it's not really good to you if there's no animation or no movements, some spontaneous movement going on. Just a rotting corpse. So, what must you be? If you're not a rotting corpse at the moment, you must be alive, the life. But what is that life? Is it that pattern through which it's expressing through that body? Innately you know it's not, because you say it's my body. Who are you referring to if you say my? Who are you referring to? You're referring to something that's claiming the body. And you say my mind. Again, you're referring to something that's claiming the mind, the body mind. The pattern which that life is fashioning, shaping, forming and expressing through right now. But do we take that and settle back into it and realise that that life, that livingness is happening and I am that? No. We try to make something out of this believed in conceptual image. My body, my mind. If it's a conceptual image, it's a mental image, an image. What's an image? A shape and form that's appearing in space or in this so-called thing called mind. And the Nisargadatta says nothing can trouble you excepting your own imagination. So it's only that image that you have is your imagining. And that is the trouble, because you take that image to be a separate image, a personal image. And they tell you that, and I am that. I think it's it. I think it's the third chapter of I am that. The person is not reality. So this conceptual image you have about yourself, with the shape and form that's seeming solid, it can be felt and be tasted. It has all these patterns in it, and it can feel the things in it. But without that life essence, it can't do any of that. It's a corpse. So what does that point out? If the body, and you can't think a thought, you can't take a breath, and you can't do anything without that life essence, or without that body which came upon you, which formed that pattern, some seeming what we call time ago, but it's spontaneous shaping and forming every moment. Because when you investigate time, you'll see time is a fiction also. So it formed the pattern, shape and form to express through, and it has the senses in it, the brain, the heart, the lungs, and all these organs which are utilised by that same intelligence energy or life essence going through them. And it appears to be separate, just the same outside in the yard or in the garden. There's a tree. And the life essence in that is drawing up the nutrients from the earth, the water, the nutrients, drawing them up, and they're being utilised by the leaves, the buds that form, then the leaves, then the flowers, then the fruit, and all the other animals, birds, insects, viruses, bugs, and everything else in this manifestation. It's all that one essence. In turmoil and conflict constantly with itself through the seeming belief that's separate. So recognise what's going on. And if you don't realise the zone, imagine, utilise that image again, what it would be like if the recognition of the reality that is only the one and I am that one. What were there to be fearful of? What were there to be afraid of? What would it be to hate or dislike? What would there be reason to go to war? Or what somebody else do? If that knowing was there, that when you came into being out of that space, and when it breaks down again and rots or disintegrates, where will it go? Back into the space. All right if I breathe.
I'll give you the soft tissue, darling, because that paper is going to just create great disturbance in the mind.
And we'll go back into the space again. Yes. Nothing can ever be added to it. Nothing can ever go to waste. Nothing can ever be lost. Everything is always and ever that. The essence, the shapes and forms can certainly change. Like this body, where that life is functioning right now, is transient. It's changing right in this moment. There are thousands, or some say millions, of cells being replaced right now, and continue to do so. So we're in a seeming, a lot of us would say that this person, this body-mind, is the trap. But what is trapped? The only thing to be fixated on or held on to is the thought, or which it all vibrates into different pattern shapes and forms, and those pattern shapes and forms are what you call things. before you put the label on it. Water's a thing, fire's a thing, space is a thing, earth is a thing, body is a thing. Animal, birds, insects, bacteria are all things. Appearing in that basic screen, which is right before your very eyes right now. What's the first thing you see? Isn't it the emptiness? Unless you put something right on your eyeballs, well, there'll still be the emptiness before that. So everything is appearing in that no thing. Emptiness has no boundaries to it. Space has no boundaries. It's got no circumference. It's got no centre. It just is. But try and postulate something that could be outside of space. What would it be in? Can you postulate anything other than space that it would be in? So it's all space, which is the amazing, wondrous, natural intelligence to vibrate into all these different pattern shapes and forms and vibrate into the bodies in which can see these things and express them and put labels and words on them so that they can be cognised or recognised. But that body that's seemingly solid is nothing but vibrating pattern of space also. Words, sounds, vibration, noise can appear in that pattern also. Sounds can be broken down into concepts, words. And so we can divide it up, all this no thing, into something. And each pattern is different, so we put a different name and form on it. But the ancients told you that it's all that. They put one label on it. That. Everything is that. Because that's the chair, that's the tree, that's the flower. Or another, some others put other label called God. And then there are thousands of different names for God. But they say God is absolute. It's the great perfection. It is only. It is the one. It's the no thing. It's the everything. Yeah. Got some questions there?
Yep. I'll just move in here. See the time? So we got some, hi everyone. Got some questions. There was a nice little conversation there about gratitude of being here, and even moving. Tanya moved the gym sessions to earlier hour to be on the meetings, and there was a few nice little commentary, which my phone disabled right now, can't see it anymore. But we have a request from Amarnath. Dear loving Bob, can you speak on even after self-realization, patterns of sensual and mental pleasures wean off, but experiences can be there without experiencer. Kindly elaborate on this.
Yes, well, the experiencer and the experience are concepts. So I experience that, the believed in self-centre, the reference point, the me, as soon as I say I experience, becomes the experiencer. And what you're experiencing, the thing that's happening in the seeing, hearing, tasting, becomes the experience.
Yeah.
So experience and experience
Experiencer and experience
are contained
in experience.
in experiencing. Experiencing is something that's going on right now in you, isn't it? Isn't the breathing happening? The seeing, the tasting, the touching, the smelling, all the functioning, eating, sleeping, all the functioning, the ing, is something that's happening right in the immediacy, in the timeless moment. But when you say I experience this, you're relating to the conceptual image you have about itself, the dream character, I or me. And the experience becomes other than me. The experiencer and the experience. I experience this that we take to be other than me, not saying it's all the one. So that's seeming division. Subject, object. Experiencer, experiencing, experience, seer, seeing, and seen, tasting, touching, smelling, tasted, toucher. So that's what's happening with the thinking. Thinking is a vibration, what we call thinking. The thought comes up, I think. Then you form the subject, me, Bob, I am thinking this. And the this that I'm thinking becomes the thought, whatever it is I'm thinking. So the thinker and the thought, subject, object, are dualistic. Seemingly too. But without the thinking, can there be a thinker? There can't be. And without the thinking, can there be the thought?
No.
There can't be. So are they divided? They're not divided at all, only seemingly so. That goes for experiencer and experience, the seer and the seen. There's nothing really divided. As I say, that two ends of the one stick, or two sides of the one coin. Seemingly two, but not, because they're not divided at all. And see all the functioning that's going on. It couldn't be appearing if it didn't divide itself. So it's not, when they talk about non-duality, they're pointing to the truth. There's never been any other thing, anything other than non-duality. Duality is contained in it. Without duality, there's no duality. Without non-duality, there can't be duality.
Yes.
Each, as I say, they're the same thing, seeing the two sides. So when we've taken on the belief we are this person, this separate entity, when we believe we were born and learnt words to discriminate it, that's when our problems start. Like they say. And they give the analogy of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Paradise. Nothing wrong. Everything going okay. But then it says they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In other words, what they did, they learnt words. Tree of knowledge. Good and evil. And that's not just good and evil, that's pleasant, pain, happy, sad. All the opposites come up because of that. And of course, when those opposites were there, they could no longer see everything in its unicity and its oneness. So they are cast out of the so-called paradise. And that's what happens to it. And look where we stand today. All the fear, all the wars, all the heartbreak, all the murders, robberies, rapes and everything else, all going because we believe in a separate entity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these things, well, just if you're not relating to any separate entity at all, seeing it's only the one, even though it still seemingly divides up, and you know it never separated in the first place, though it's seemingly so, who's going to be affected?
Yes, so summarizing what Amarnath was saying, that there are experiences, but without experiencer, we actually have a little bit of a twist on it. There can't be an experience without experiencer. Like if you think, can there be a sight if there is no one looking? Can there be a breath if there are no lungs? There can't be, they're just two ends of one stick. So experiencer, experience, thinker, thought, seer, sight, they all connected. They're not two, they're one thing. So after self-realization, things happen exactly the same way as they happened before self-realization, because it is just the same one functioning. So experiencing is the reality. Breathing is reality. Seeing is reality. Before self-realization, habitually you say, this is I that is doing the breathing. This is I that is doing the seeing. Or this is the I that is doing the thinking. After self-realization, you just don't believe that narrative anymore. But the seeing, thinking, experiencing happens just the same. There is no experiencer, and there is no experience. There is just one experiencing. Like there really can't be any experience without anyone who is witnessing it, without the consciousness witnessing it. So they are not separate. They can't be separated. They're always one. Before self-realization, you divide them. After self-realization, you may still be dividing it in the communication, but you don't believe in the division anymore. So that's what the self-realization seemingly is about, just disbelief of the division that happens in the narrative. The experiencing happens just the same way, just as it does for any other creature in the appearance. So that's just... but yeah, you get the point, Amarnath, saying there is no experiencer. There is experiencing, no experiencer. And Amarnath also says that there is no self to get realization, just as misnomer. There is no process depending stages. Yeah, there is absolutely. There is. I actually like to have a twist on it. Instead of saying self-realization, no self-realization. There is no self. You realize the realization happens that there is no separate self. And Julia says, Kat told me to love the truth more than anything else earlier this week. That helped to pull the energy out of thoughts immensely and has led to a state of more love. Thank you both. Thank you for sharing that, Julia. That is just the invitation to get inspired and worked. So wonderful to hear. Mukti, Bob, could you speak to when someone doesn't identify with depression, anxiety, or having any stress, so is happy in the conceptual image of life they have? Could that possibly be the case?
Somebody doesn't identify.
Yes, if someone doesn't identify with depression and anxiety or having any stress and is happy in the image of themselves and life they have, could that be a case?
Yes. What if you're not having any stress or anything, what is it then? It's just what is. Just as it is. And what does is mean?
Yes.
Something
unaltered,
unmodified, uncurrent, something that's happening right in this immediacy. So left as it is without putting any concepts on, that idea or concept of stress or fear or anxiety couldn't come up.
What if there is a concept, but it's a positive concept? Like they are happy, she says, copying the conceptual image of life they have. So they, let's say they have a concept that, oh, I'm good, I'm nice, my life is good, I'm happy, I'm a person, but a happy person.
Yeah. But well, that's how you are. If you're a happy person,
Yeah.
believe you are a person, see. But that left as it is again, what's it going to do?
It's going to change.
Hmm?
It is going to change.
Yes,
So
it's
I'll be a happy person today and I'll be unhappy person tomorrow.
Now, the earth as a whole, which is rolling around the sun right now, is the same. When I get to this point, I'm going to be happy, or it's going to be a bit rough and I bounce around over another part of the cosmos. I mean, no, whichever way it's going, it'll still be okay.
Yeah.
And there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So it's discriminating the thoughts that divide it conceptually. It's all, that's why I say it's all divided by the word or the concept.
Yeah.
And that's what when we learnt words. That's what we're saying with Adam and Eve and everything else. It's just the learning of the words, the conceptualising. And the Buddhists tell you the great perfection is non-conceptual awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness without putting any concepts or labels on it. Or if you do put concepts and labels on it, and you know the truth, that this is only a concept, you're going to waste any energy of belief in it, or you're going to leave it as it is, knowing full well that the cloud that's covering the sun at the moment is not stuck there.
Yeah.
And the thoughts that's in your head right now, or the fear or the anger that's going with it, is not pasted in your head. It's always going to move on. And that's all that will be happening. As I say, it's transient. It's constantly changing. And the great perfection is unfixated awareness, where you're not fixating on one part to the exclusion of something else.
Yeah, so basically everyone is in the natural state all the time until the thought comes and it is believed and it is obscuring it. So if you are happy, nothing's wrong anymore, there's nothing wrong anymore, there's nothing wrong. And then something comes up and obscures it, you question it.
Oh. Unrecognised.
Yeah. Yeah.
We haven't recognised our true nature in the same obscuration.
Yeah. Now, John David is checking if you have water. You want another sip of water?
Oh, I can have another sip of it.
There you go. And now we got Tanya. While out and about this morning, I noticed that you can't see me when looking at other bodies. The me is just a story. What a wonderful realization.
Yeah.
That is a gorgeous insight. Beautiful. You can't see me in anyone, in a dog. You can't see me in the tree. You can't see me in the other people. And even if you could, it would be changing all the time.
Yeah. Keep seeing.
That's
one of the statements. Keep seeing that there's no thing to see or no one to see.
Yeah, but lovely. That's a lovely insight. Thank you for sharing it.
Though you're seeing it, you know it's no thing.
That's right. Yeah, the me is just a story. Absolutely. Mukti, does responsibility have any place in non-duality?
Everything and the no thing has a space in the non-duality, because no matter how it appears or patterns, it's still only and ever and always was and always will be the one.
Yeah.
No discriminating thoughts arise, the old mind ceases to be.
You have a nice little spin on responsibility as the ability to respond.
Yeah. Well, just the same as you mightn't believe it, but your breath just arises naturally, and if that didn't respond, there wasn't a response there or heart beating, you wouldn't last long, but you don't even think of those things.
But I guess it might be Mukti asking question about that sense of responsibility when you get up to work, or when you look after your children, or where you pay your taxes and stuff like this. I would say that's just a part of the conditioning of the software of the body mind.
We'll see the natural responsiveness, light breathing, heart breathing, goes on.
Yes.
With the life.
And then, as you said, everything is valid in the appearance.
Yeah.
So even so-called sense of personal responsibility, or to obey the law or stuff like this.
Yeah.
Even that is valid in the appearance, and it is part of the conditioning.
That's the way it plays out.
Yeah.
That's the way it plays out.
It's part of the makeup of the body, just like skills, talents, all of it, and how the skills and talents come about, just the same way as the sense of perfectionism or sense of duty or sense of service. All that things are kind of brought up from the little seed that whole universe planted, the influences of the parents, school, society, movies and music and food and all of it, that what creates the particular conditioning. And we got Amarnath. Thanks a million, cat and dog and Bob, triads, thinking, thinker, thought. Happening duality is only in non-dual awareness. No more division felt as reality. Yeah, beautiful. Tanya, so all actually triads, if you can look at them as triads, that they are little trinity, the seer, seen and seeing, the little triad or trinity. But if you see that the seeing is underlying and encompassing both, you could say that seeing is non-dual, and the duality within, seer, seen, are just the two ends of the stick. So the stick is seeing, and the two ends are called seer, seen. But of course, ultimately, if all of the functioning is just the movement of energy. That's all it is. It's just stillness moving. It's not even stillness moving, because there is no such thing as stillness. It's just it's just the language that always muck it up. But yeah, you got it. No more division as felt reality. Tanya, so all manifestation, the world, bodies, etc., is seen as solid and separate, not as homogeneous blob. That is just how it appears. But it appears in awareness and is not separate from that awareness. That is how you recognize non-separation? That's a question from Tanya? Yeah. It totally appears as separate, and that's the brilliance of it. But it all appears in your seeing, in the gaze. So it is all the same, so it's just a changing content of the same seeing. Bob has a little spin, like when he says to people sometimes, when you wake up in the morning, you open your eyes. Do you start seeing? No, the seeing's already there. But the content is different. It may be your bedroom. And then as you go about the day, the seeing is the same, but the content changes. So every single separate thing that you see in the seeing is a content. But the seeing is the same. Just like you see the movie on the screen, and you have the light coming through the film. Film is colored, the shades and stuff, and then you see the separate object on the screen, separate people running, Indians and what was it? The Indians and cowboys shooting each other, and it all appears to be separate. But when you just step back, not only it is appearing as a distraction or disturbance or different movement in one consciousness, different movement of the sound, different movement of the sight, but it's still the same one. The same, it's appearing in the awareness as the different sort of a density of the appearance. Like thought is kind of seems more fluid than a sofa, but they all just vibrating patterns of energy. So they will still appear, not a homogeneous blob. They will still appear to be different. That's the brilliance. And as Bob started the spiel, making an analogy, comparing it to a dream at night, how things appear in the dream, where do they appear, how detailed, how separated and how realistic do they look, but they're still made of one and the same substance of the dream, or non-substance. You got it, Tanya? So being conscious, not conscious of, being conscious, not conscious of, is just the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking, with no seer, hearer, taster, toucher, smeller, or thinker. Yep. That's how simple. That's simple. One more question, laughing out loud. It doesn't matter what thought appears. I am not the thinker, so thoughts will not stop. Thoughts don't have to recognize your true nature. Thoughts don't have to recognize your true nature. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yes, that's it.
So if you know you're not the thought and you don't have to lock into the thought, well, that's how the thought can be let go of.
That's right. And
leave you with the pure mind. Pure intelligence energy, which we call mind.
But that's a beautiful realization that absolutely at no point the thought will help you realize. The thought does, if it can do anything, is just to turn the attention away from the obvious. The fact that realization or attention or awareness is already there. But when you know the truth, the thought can do nothing either way. So yes, that's beautifully said. It doesn't matter what thought appears. If the thought says, I'm enlightened, or the thought says, I'm not enlightened, or the thought says, there is no me, doesn't matter, or there is a me, it doesn't matter. The thought is just a vibration, it's just a distraction. So the thought doesn't need the thought to recognize. No. The recognition happens more with the heart than with the mind. It doesn't happen. That's why we say there is no answer in the mind. The mind can't recognize or realize the true nature, because the mind is just a noise. How can the noise realize the silence?
And that doesn't matter, takes on a different meaning. Means it hasn't solidified, it hasn't concretized. Matter is something is solid or concrete.
Yes.
And you know that in your language, if somebody comes up and says, can I do this and do that, and you're not concerned with it, you'll say, it doesn't matter. And so you're not taken on board, it doesn't worry you.
Yeah.
Or I don't mind. If you don't mind, you couldn't care.
And unfixated awareness, says Amarnath.
Yep.
And Otul, all question and doubts are just thought forms. So just drop every thought and you will recognize that you are already home.
Yep.
Is that okay?
I think so.
Okay, good.
Yes,
That's beautifully said.
You've always been home.
Yes. Stop looking for the answer in thoughts. It's not gonna be there. I mean, you can find a lot of answers, like what you say, 2 and 2 equals 5. Good answers, bad answers, yes, to the thinking in thoughts, but not to the life and everything, not to the home. Yes. You will recognize that you're already home. Drop every thought. And thanks, Amarnath says, thanks a million, Tanya. Me itself is otherness. Both are false. When Tanya was saying that there is no me in anyone, it's me is just a story. She can't see the me inside. Sally, it feels like I have been so conditioned to believe in what appears to be the tangible and seen world rather than the unseen that moves everything. That is beautifully said too. That's exactly right. The whole body, when it was cast away from paradise and started dividing and calling everything good and bad and judging, that is when the whole attention went to this tangible and seen world rather than the unseen that moves everything. That's a nice choice of words. And Amarnath answering to O'Toole that all questions and doubts are just thought forms. Amarnath says, to drop, is it a real thing? Dropping can happen without a dropper. You got it. Yeah, there is dropper and the dropped all happen within the dropping. Brings associations, hey? In Australia they call droppings the bird poo. O'Toole, respond to the now according to your ability. That is that in that moment is responsibility. Yeah, beautiful. And Julia, there is a little sadness at saying goodbye to the me, but then who is that? That is sad. Yeah, who is saying goodbye to the me? Is there anyone there? And a sadness is like feeling, you know, in the feeling there could be a different sort of waves and flavors. But if there is no, if that's not personal, there can be a sweetness in sadness.
Yeah. Where is it being labelled sad from?
And also I can see here that, you know, it's sad to say goodbye to the me. What a loving approach to the me. That me, what a creature, you know, that sadness comes and appreciating that little construct, that not very little, that really complicated construct made of memories and habits and embodied and believed into being something. Because nobody dies, you know, the disbelief in a Santa Claus doesn't mean the gifts will not be coming. And it doesn't kill the Santa. Come here, darling. Pesto is pulling apart all your cards. But yeah, that's a sweet aspect. Tanya says to O'Toole that questions are and doubts are just thought forms. Thanks a million, O'Toole. That helps a lot with the answering the question I asked above. It is true, I am already home. Just thoughts keep appearing, saying I'm not. But who are these thoughts referring to? Certainly not what I really am. Yeah, maybe we didn't answer your questions, Tanya, because they seemed to be answered from within. You have this capacity of formulating questions which is already kind of clear in and answered in the way you put the words. But I'm glad that O'Toole helped you to see through and rephrase it. While out and about this morning, Tanya replying to her comment on the gym. Otherness is a story too. Otherness, being other, being other.
Other.
Yeah, this is also a story.
Yeah.
And O'Toole, seer and seen are just pure seeing. Yep. They are. They can't be. There is no seeing without any of the ends of the stick. There is no. They're not separate. And Amarnath replying to Tanya, so all manifestation, and this is seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. Yes, that's that's our pesto. Inseparable, appearing as separation, unseen, sees seeing, scenes, drama of 5 elements, senses. And now, Otul, all questions or doubts are just thought forms. He says, exactly, I is just a thought as well, also. Absolutely, absolutely. Then we have few of the little pretty little things we had already, the little pictures showing love hearts and sweets. Unknowable knows, Amarnath says. And John David, how am I not myself? From the movie I Heart Huckabees. How am I not myself? Yeah, I think we actually saw that movie. Was it about dog? I'm not sure. Goes, it seems the one who chases the thought is also a thought.
Yeah.
Yes. Amarnath, non-reactive mind, thought without thinker, is a dead mind. Yeah, thought can't even exist without the thinker. So there is just a thinking, and if there is no thinking, dead mind, quiet mind, no mind. Tanya, beautifully said. Thank you so much, Bob and Kat. Somehow the truth is already known. The answer is definitely not in the mind. Used to be looking for more knowledge, but that is just more concepts. Yep.
You just said, somehow the truth is already known.
It is.
It is.
Innately.
Just a little bit of an investigation, questioning it, the beliefs we've taken for granted, without questioning, have a look, see.
Yeah.
And you realise, yes, I've already known this, I already am this.
Yes. And it has always been with you, right from emerging or even before emerging from a womb. There is a knowing that you are, and it never changes. The content may be changing of the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking, but the knowing that you are never changes. It may get obscured, but it never goes away.
Seemingly obscured, yeah. I am that.
Yes.
It's just the same as this is what I am.
And because the truth, the ultimate truth, is that which always is, timelessly, never changes. So it has to already be present, right here, right now, and timelessly. So, yeah, even as a little baby, you already are, and that's it. And thinking about being is not being. But that is just more concepts, yes. Used to be looking for more knowledge. We kind of got conditioned also to find security through thinking. If we feel anxious, like Bob was saying, now this is me, I'm here, so this is vulnerable, and there is a world full of dangers. So now if I think I know something, I feel safe. So I give it a label, and now I feel safe. Oh, this is a truth. Oh, this is a tree. Oh, this is a spider. Now I know what it is. Really? Label it is not really a knowledge, but we were conditioned. Oh, it appears this way. Otul, you don't need to transcend that in which don't have any interest. Yep. Yeah. If your heart is with the truth, with that unchanging reality of being and awareness of being, and you don't have interest in chasing or thinking, then it's nothing to be transcended, really. It's just to put your heart where it belongs, where the home is. And Otul, you don't need to transcend that in which you don't have any interest. Yes, I just read that. And Amarnath replying to Paul, how absence can catch presence? Can cloud catch the sky? Answer is not in the mind. Yep. And another Julia. This belief in Santa Claus doesn't stop the gifts. I love it. This belief in Santa Claus doesn't stop the gifts coming. And there is no corpse of Santa either. It's not. It doesn't have to. This belief doesn't even kill it. There is no blood, or there is nothing to be mourning. Like, sometimes people have the idea that, oh, the poor eye is been killed, or it has to be killed. Nope. It's not gonna be any any corpses of blood. Tanya, did you answer my question? Oh, you did answer my question. I wrote that response to Otul before you answered my questions. And before we even answer your question, you did it. You did answer it in the way you actually write a question, which I love it. I actually really enjoy that. Otul, seeming duality only possible because there is oneness. That's the paradox. Yeah, when that was in Tao Te Ching, from one they come two, from the two they come three, and then 10,000 things. But where did the one come from? That's the question. Can't be answered. And Nick, after there is a longer one. After the resistance and control wears off, the suffering evaporates. It's like there is a total acceptance, but by no one, of what is, as it meets and recognizes its own original indivisible self. The pendulum of life's mystery keeps swinging in wonder. This is so beautifully said. Yeah, this is precisely so, and so gorgeously said. Yeah, resistance and control wears off. When the little tantrum little child throwing itself on the floor and arguing with reality. No, I don't want this. I want, always wanting what is not, never wanting what is God. When that wears off. And, meets its own indivisible self. The pendulum of life mystery keeps swinging. Good and bad, pleasure, pain, all of it. Day and night, winter and summer. Totally. Thank you, Nick. And Otul says, every moment is just a surprise.
Fresh and new.
Yeah.
Spontaneous.
And Nisargadatta would say, unexpected. It's letting go, surrender, says Julia. And Amarnath, Nisargadatta calls self-distrust and self-denial not needed. Otul, all answers are in this moment only. Yep. All insights are fresh and new. Old ones are dead. Tanya, seems I didn't need to ask the questions as the answer was in the questions, but typing questions just happened anyway. Ha. And thank you for that. I love hearing the way you talk about this, Bob and Kat, and all that share here. And keep those questions coming, because the way you word them, the people who will be watching you maybe in 20 years will still be benefiting from the fact that you allow those questions for the life to pour through you, even though they, seems I didn't need to. Well, seems you did, and wonderful. Thank you. Keep them coming. They bring beautiful clarity to different subtle aspects of the thing. And Otul, resistance and control happened in mind. And that's where we are. I'll see if there is any more on the... No, we are up to date.
If only know.
If you can play with questions, okay. I'll just read this one. It's from Otul. From Otul. You can play with questions if you are not bothered by them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, if you're not concerned about anything. Everything is perfectly resolved.
Yeah, apparently that part of the human experience is what differs us from animals. The capacity to ask questions and inquire, and dig deeper and contemplate. That's an amazing capacity. But yes, it backfires when you get too concerned or bothered when it matters. Then it can be the very sword that hurts you, the knife that cut the bread or the knife that killed someone. And now we got Amarnath, tragedy turns to comedy. That's right. A cosmic joke. And Padma, you both look fantastic. I'm so happy to see your shining faces. Oh, thank you, Padma.
Thank you, Padma.
Thank you for being here with us. And Otul, world is your own playground. Just chill. And Julia, Bobcat and others, does the me I thought stop eventually? Does the me I thought stop eventually?
Well, you're not going to lose language.
Yeah, that's the answer.
But know the truth about it.
You don't want to sound like a non-duality obsessed weirdo who is like in that Dan joke who was calling Susie to invite her for a date, and he would grab the phone and say, this body-mind call Dan would like to invite you. The body-mind call Susie. You don't want to go there. It's the I, the me is so handy in the communication. And
as I say, you go down to the ocean, you still see a blue sea. But you know the sea's not blue.
Yeah.
The water's not blue. The sky is not blue. Water in the mirage, the snake in the rope.
Yeah.
You know the truth about these things there.
And they still appear to be like sense of location. It never goes away. I mean, if there is those little cameras are being used, the angle through which the looking happens is going to be always somewhere around the eyes. I mean, the source of seeing, the touch, the smell, the whole space based on the sensory experiences, the whole time based on the thinking experiences. They all will seemingly happen to the me. They will all feel subjective in a way. But now you know the truth. It's just like the computer who experience all sorts of different things on the screen, but they don't take it personally. There is nothing personal about a particular computer. The same electricity runs through every computer in the world. Yeah, but yeah, the blue sea analogy is brilliant. It still appears to be blue, so it still appears to be located in the body. But now, I also had a couple of conversations with people who said the sense of me collapsed and never returned, and another people would say, no, sense of me was seen through, but it is still feeling as there is a me. Now it is a very, very subtle thing which depends how the me was defined, because if the me is defined as the sum of sensory experiences, that will still be there. And if the me is defined as the image, conceptual image, construct or definition, that doesn't need to be there. Like, I had the sense of me defined as the vulnerability, the sensitivity, the past experiences, achievements, and all that mental, emotional, mostly emotional thing to be a core of a me. And when that was seen through, it disappeared. Like, there is not one emotion that is always there. How could I be my vulnerability? Like, there are things where there are situations when there is no vulnerability at all. There is invulnerability. There is the sense of whatever the emotion. So this, I can't say that the sense of me ever restored itself. But if I had the subtle definition that sense of me is sense of bodily location, then I would say, yeah, it's definitely there. It's just how the mind associates it. And I don't think that my experience of having that definition collapse is different to somebody else's experience who have the definition collapsed, but their sense of identification was more with location. Is the same sense of being. It's just the narrative. Oh yeah, I lost the me. No, I've seen through the me, and the me is there. It's the same.
Use a sense of presence. It's all continually, seemingly happening right in this presence awareness. So there'll still be that sense of presence there no matter what appears or disappears on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sense of being alive, sense of Satchitananda, awareness of knowing, of existence. And world is your own playground. Chill out. Just chill. We've seen that. Okay. Nick, you can do anything if you don't take it personally. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you life can do anything. You can create planets, stars and galaxies. You life as the life essence.
And you have never done anything.
You as a person have never done
Never
anything.
done anything.
Never taken a breath, never beaten your heart. Nothing, not a thing. Yeah.
Never felt you were a failure.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, beautiful. And agreed, happy to hear laughter also. And thank you. Tanya Amarnath, belated birthday wishes, Bob, directly we missed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, he got all the wishes. Thank you for the loads of beautiful, warm, heartfelt wishes on the Pointers group, on the Facebook, on the telephone, on Zoom, wonderful. Just he felt so loved and celebrated, especially that the lockdown didn't end, and we're not gonna go to Sofia today and have a cake. We did have 3 cakes. 1 was healthy and 2 were unhealthy.
Thank you.
And thank you. And the cards, yeah, it's loved. And laughter keeps you out of the matrix, Otul says. Laughter keeps you out of the matrix. Yeah, it's the best exorcist. It scares away all the seriousness and all the drama. And Tanya, maybe me, I thought, doesn't stop, but you know that you are not ultimately an I or me.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it does. It depends on the definition of that me or I. It's just the blue sea. You see, still appear blue, but you know it is clear, it's transparent. The I, the me, may still appear that there is something, location, but it's clear, it's transparent, just like the blueness is non-existent, is not there. Mind is time, O'Toole says. Yep, all sense of existence in time, the past, the future, the I, my childhood, that's all mind. That's all time is mind. And Julia, Tanya, yes, I just meant that it is constant here, so I wondered if it relaxes a bit. I guess it doesn't matter either way. That's right, it doesn't matter. Yeah, sense of location relaxes when you close your eyes. Sense of existence in time relaxes when you pause the thinking. But yeah, know the truth and that's enough. Amarnath, dream can be seen as both dream and waking dream. Nisargadatta says love all or none.
Yeah.
Don't go midway. Yeah. And Tanya, oh, I see. I find I and me thoughts still appear too. That's just a chance to investigate who is the thought referring to, etc. Yeah, it doesn't matter either way. If I, me thought appears or not, as Bob is saying, it is appearing in us, this sense of presence. Yeah, in what you are, the sense of presence. That's a funny thing that it seems like the me, the construct, the image, hijacks the sense of presence and says this is my presence. Presence is secondary to my existence. I am prior to presence. No, the presence is all there is. The image is constantly changing, coming and going, but the presence is the reality. And it doesn't go away, and the presence doesn't relax. It's just the presence is dressed up in that little tight costume of poor me, or ugly me, or stupid me, or worthy me, or happy me, or whatever. And nothing is happening, Amarnath says.
That's right.
And O'Toole, life is not worrying about life. Only mind is worrying about life.
Yeah.
That's a quote from Mooji. And Nick, the lazy man's way to enlightenment is the best. You don't have to take a single step. Yes. Not only you don't have to, you can. But yes, that's a nice way of making it funny and light. And happy birthday to the unborn, O'Toole says. Yeah. What was born?
Yeah.
Yeah, we celebrate the body just because it's such a wonderful opportunity to celebrate. Of course, Bob is not the body. And what is not the body is not even Bob. It's just life, being life. It expresses through that particular and as that particular vehicle we call Bob, and we celebrate the all.
Yeah.
The appearance of that life as the form, which was born and will die, hopefully not soon.
If there's no time, how can it be soon?
I know, it's just in the appearance. Tanya, that's so great. You still had some delicious cake. Dessert is one of my favorite parts of birthdays. Yes. And the healthy one was really yummy. Actually, the beetroot brownie with the cashew cheesecake. And don't need to eat completely healthy when celebrating. Wishing you many more birthdays, Bob. Thank you. Yeah, we didn't eat completely healthy. We eat a little bit of healthy and a lot of unhealthy. But we'll get back on track.
Is there healthy or unhealthy?
Yeah, only if you are cast out of the paradise and you call things good and bad.
Yeah.
And now it's valid in the appearance. In the appearance, they are healthy and unhealthy. You wouldn't want to eat the... what's the thing they gave to Socrates?
Hemlock.
Yeah, that was unhealthy. It killed the body. Don't want to have the things that kill the body. Otul, you don't need to stop the waves to recognize the water. I love that. This is beautifully said.
Who was that one?
Otul, you don't need to stop the waves to recognize the water. Absolutely. Yeah. Let the mind wave and do whatever it wants. The truth is in the water. Amarnath, who is there to take step? He's answering to Nick. And a lot of laughters and hearts. Ben, the one is all apparently, and all appears dualistically. Yeah, it wouldn't appear any other way.
It couldn't be.
Yeah, it couldn't. There is either duality or no appearance. Every moment is just a celebration, Otul. It's a mystery that deserves celebration, absolutely. And Nick, on failure, by the way, nothing fails quite as well as success. So going now, here, nowhere, special is always very relaxing.
Still only the two ends of the one stick.
That's yes, but that's a really great point. Nothing fails quite as well as success. Yeah, beautiful.
Good.
And Cliff, happy birthday, Bob. Hi, Kat. Hi, Cliff.
Hi, Cliff. Thank you. We had enough?
You had enough? Otul, if you think you have freedom, then you really are in a bondage. That's right. There is no you to own the freedom. Freedom is not a thing that can be owned by the entity. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, same applies if you think you are enlightened, or you are realized, or you are superior, or whatever is the you with all the descriptions, is always a sign of really a calling for investigating.
Yep.
If there is anyone there who has an ego, or who is an ego, who has enlightenment, or who is free or liberated, or, yeah, it's always a trap. Hi from Donna also. Big hugs. Thank you. That's from Nick. And love you all and thank you. So I think we are good to go. We got all the messages of thank you and love you all from Otul, and big hugs. And
thank you, everyone.
And
or the one.
And thank you, the one, yes.
The one that you are.
And thank you all, both enlightened and unenlightened. Neither. Yes. And Tanya, thank you, Bob, Kat, and all lovely expressions of the One Essence. What a beautiful meeting today. No more questions now. Wow. Laughing out loud. There might be more or not next week. Love ya. I hope they will. Although I wish you not to really. I mean, let life flow. Let it dance as it does. It will be perfect. And more thank you messages and more love messages. And love you all and thank you all.
Thank you.
From Sally, Mukti, Julia, and everyone.